Well, Benny, we mentioned earlier about former AFL players being fast-tracked into umpiring, and we've got a story this week on one of those players.
Yes, Leigh Fisher, the former St Kilda player, has been fast-tracked into umpiring. He's down there in the Ammos, and he did his first game in the VAFA Premier Division.
Yes, Benny, with Terry O'Callaghan and Andrew Leonard reporting.
Leigh Fisher, who's played over 50 AFL games, is doing his first Premier section game today at St Bede's, and he's part of the AFL Player to Umpire Pathway program, where some ex-AFL players decide that they want to become umpires, and the AFL sponsors them through that, and they spend a couple of nights training with the AFL umpires, and then Leigh trains with us one night a week, and at the moment he's fitted into the group really well. So he'll umpire with us for some games and then umpire with other competitions throughout the year.
Now you've taken a most unusual step for a footballer coming out of the league.
Yep. So I was doing this at the end of last season, and I was in contact with the AFL umpiring department probably about 2 years ago. Just they were gauging some interest if I had any interest in umpiring, and I did at the time, but I still had a bit of time to run on my contract at St Kilda. So I continued that year out, and then once the year wound up, I rang them up and said, do you guys want to have another meeting? I mean, after playing football for that long, I still wanted to be involved in the game, and umpiring was a new, fresh challenge, and it was going to keep me fit, so I thought I'd give it a go. I went and had a meeting with Jeff Geishan and Rowan Stores, and they stated out the plan that they had for me. There's now an AFL players to umpire pathway they put in place, and Jordan Bannister did that last year. So he's in the VFL this year, and I've joined up and starting in the amateurs.
Once on the field, do you have to resist the desire to go for the mark or the call for the handball?
Early on, my first couple of games umpiring, I was running into positions where you'd actually run to get the ball, and then you go, hang on a second, I'm not playing here, I've got to get out and have a broader view of the game. So it took a while to get used to.
And how did you actually find it when you first went out to umpire from the position of
it was interesting. I mean, last year I'd had the idea of being an umpire, so I'd watched games kind of with an umpire's perspective as well, and that probably kind of prepared me a little bit. But actually being out there and having the whistle in your hand, nothing can really prepare you for the first moment you're out there.
And you're obviously seeing the game from a completely different aspect.
Yeah, that's right. It's pretty tough to gauge what's going on in the game, because you're concentrating on decisions and where you've got to run. And then at the end of the game, you've obviously got to do the votes, and sometimes it's hard to sit back and go, oh, what actually happened in that game when you're concentrating so hard. As a player, obviously the ball's not in your area and you can kind of move around, but as an umpire you've got to be switched on 100% of the time. There's no downtime, because it may come to you at any stage and other umpires may refer to you, so you've always got to be involved in the game, and it's definitely a challenge. For the rest of this season, I think I'm at the Ammos for the next 4 or 5 weeks, and then looking at the Under-18 National Carnival, and then off to the Southern Footy League for a stint, and then if we're lucky maybe a VFL game by the end of the year.
As we go back to the action at War.